The intercepted signal. Navy Lieutenant Daniel Crawford stifled a yawn as he adjusted the settings on the new deep space monitoring equipment. The quiet hum of computers filled the small communications lab aboard the ISS Vanguard. For 3 weeks, he had been testing this experimental system, designed to detect signals from the farthest reaches of our solar system. So far, he had found nothing but cosmic background noise. Another exciting night in space, he muttered to himself, taking a sip of lukewarm coffee. Daniel was about to log his hourly report when a soft beep caught his attention. He looked up at the main screen where an unusual pattern appeared. At first, he thought it was just another false positive. The system had picked up several over the past weeks, but this signal persisted, growing stronger. What do we have here? Daniel leaned forward, his fatigue instantly forgotten. The pattern didn't match any known human transmission protocol. It wasn't radio, wasn't laser communication, and definitely wasn't anything in the standard databases. Yet it had a mathematical precision that couldn't be natural space noise. Daniel's heart began to race. He quickly began running analysis programs, capturing and storing the mysterious signal. The pattern repeated with slight variations, almost like a conversation. Commander Rios. Daniel called his superior over the intercom. You might want to come see this. Within minutes, Commander Rios arrived, looking skeptical. This better be good, Crawford. I was in the middle of dinner. Daniel pointed to his screen. Look at this pattern, sir. It's definitely artificial, but it doesn't match anything in our databases. The commander frowned, studying the display. Could be a glitch in the new system. I've ruled that out, Daniel said. And look at these mathematical consistencies. He highlighted sections of the pattern. These can't be random. After 30 minutes of analysis, even Commander Rios had to admit something strange was happening. Keep monitoring this, Lieutenant, but keep it quiet for now. No need to start rumors. For the next 3 days, Daniel barely slept. The signal continued at irregular intervals, and he became convinced it was communication between intelligent beings. But breaking the code seemed impossible with standard military cryptographic tools. On the 4th day, Daniel made a decision. He contacted his old friend from graduate school, Dr. Olivia Reyes, a civilian cryptographer working for NASA. Their video call was brief and careful. I need your help with something. Unusual, Daniel said, but I can't discuss it over this channel. 2 weeks later, Olivia arrived at the space station for what was officially labeled as routine system consultation. Daniel met her at the docking bay. This better be worth the trip, Olivia said with a smile as they hugged briefly. Do you know how many forms I had to fill out? Trust me, Daniel replied in a low voice. You'll want to see this. In his lab, with the door locked, Daniel showed Olivia everything he had gathered. Her initial skepticism quickly turned to fascination. These patterns, she whispered, they're using a mathematical base we've never seen before. They work together for days, running the signal through every analytical tool available. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. Look, Olivia exclaimed one night, pointing at her screen. These sequences repeat in clusters of 7. If we assume their coordinates. On the 10th day, they had their breakthrough. Using a novel approach combining astronomical positioning systems with quantum computation theories, they managed to partially decode the message. Daniel, Olivia said, her voice shaking. These are coordinates. In the Oort cloud. For what? Daniel asked. A meeting, she replied, eyes wide. And look at these reference markers. These aren't codes for different ships or stations. They're codes for different species. Daniel stared at the screen in disbelief. Are you saying? Olivia nodded slowly. Someone's having a meeting out there. And they aren't human. Navy Lieutenant Daniel Crawford and Dr. Olivia Rice stood nervously outside Admiral Patricia Warren's office. They had requested an urgent meeting, bringing with them a data pad containing their findings about the mysterious alien signal. She's going to think we're crazy, Daniel whispered. The evidence is solid, Olivia replied, clutching the datapad tighter. We triple-checked everything. The door opened, and Admiral Warren motioned them inside. She was a stern woman with gray-streaked hair and a reputation for no-nonsense leadership. "Make this quick, Lieutenant," she said, sitting behind her desk. "I have a conference call in 20 minutes. Daniel took a deep breath. "Admiral, we've intercepted communications between what we believe are multiple non-human civilizations. They're planning a meeting in the Oort cloud approximately 3 weeks from now." The Admiral's expression remained unchanged. "That's quite a claim. Dr. Rice, you're backing this up." Olivia stepped forward, connecting her datapad to the wall display. "The signal uses mathematical principles unlike anything in human communication protocols. We've partially decoded it to reveal coordinates and multiple signature patterns that seem to identify different species." For the next 15 minutes, they presented their evidence. The Admiral asked sharp, probing questions that tested their analysis from every angle. Finally, she leaned back in her chair. "Assuming this is real, what exactly are you proposing?" Daniel exchanged a glance with Olivia before answering. "We want to go there, to observe the meeting." "With what ship?" the Admiral asked. "No conventional vessel could reach those coordinates in time." "The ISS Phantom," Daniel replied. "The prototype stealth vessel in Hangar 6. Admiral Warren's eyes narrowed. "That ship hasn't completed testing, and you're not authorized to know about it." Olivia spoke up. "If alien civilizations are meeting to discuss matters that might affect Earth, we need to know what they're saying. The Phantom is our only option." After a long silence, the Admiral stood and walked to the window overlooking Earth. "This stays completely off the record. If you're wrong, it's your careers. If you're right." She turned to face them. "God help us all." Over the next 72 hours, they secretly assembled their team. Commander Jack Harris, the best pilot in the fleet, agreed to join immediately. He had tested the Phantom's early flights and knew its capabilities better than anyone. "A chance to spy on an alien council meeting," he said with a grin. "Wild horses couldn't keep me away." Dr. Samuel Winters, the leading xenobiologist, was harder to convince until he saw the signal data. "This changes everything we know about life in the universe," he whispered, his academic skepticism melting away. The final team member was Captain Maya Diaz, a Special Forces officer with advanced combat training. "Someone needs to watch your backs," she said when Daniel questioned if military presence was necessary. "If these aliens aren't friendly, you'll thank me for being there." 5 days later, the team gathered in Hangar 6. The ISS Phantom sat before them, sleek, black, and unlike any spacecraft ever built by human hands. Its experimental drives could reach the Oort cloud in days rather than months, and its cloaking technology made it nearly invisible to detection. "The official story is we're conducting routine testing in high orbit," Admiral Warren told them during their final briefing. "Your communications will be limited. If anything goes wrong, you're on your own." As they boarded the ship, Olivia touched Daniel's arm. "Are we really doing this?" Daniel nodded. "For better or worse." Commander Harris settled into the pilot's seat and initiated the launch sequence. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the most illegal mission in human history. Next stop, an alien council meeting we were never supposed to know about." The hangar doors opened silently to the void of space, and the Phantom slipped away from Earth, carrying 5 humans toward humanity's first true encounter with galactic civilization. The journey to the Oort cloud coordinates took 4 days. The ISS Phantom moved silently through space, its revolutionary engines barely making a sound. Inside, the 5 crew members prepared for what might be humanity's most important reconnaissance mission. "We're approaching the coordinates," Commander Jack Harris announced from the pilot's seat. His hands moved expertly across the controls, adjusting their approach vector. Daniel Crawford looked up from his communication station. "Any signs of other vessels?" "Nothing yet," Jack replied. "But our long-range sensors are picking up unusual energy readings ahead." Captain Maya Diaz checked her security monitors. engaging full stealth protocols. If anyone's out there, they won't see us coming. As they drew closer, Dr. Samuel Winters gasped at his sensor readings. Movement at 2 o'clock. It's not one of ours. The crew gathered by the main viewport, and for the first time in human history, they knowingly looked upon an alien spacecraft. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the largest Earth vessel, with a curved silver hull that seemed to shimmer despite the darkness of space. More contacts, Olivia whispered, pointing at the sensor display. 5. No, 6 different vessels approaching the same coordinates. Jack maneuvered the Phantom to a safe distance, using a nearby cluster of ice debris for additional cover. The alien ships, each with distinctly different designs, converged on what appeared to be a neutral vessel, larger than all the others. This central ship looked like a flattened disk with extended arms, rotating slowly in space. "They're docking," Daniel observed. "It's some kind of meeting place." Dr. Winters was frantically calibrating his sensors. "I'm detecting 7 distinct life sign patterns, 7 different species in one location." Olivia had already begun working on translating potential communications. "There's significant signal traffic between the vessels. If I can isolate the patterns." For the next hour, they watched as representatives from the various ships boarded the central vessel. The beings were too distant to see clearly, but their silhouettes suggested forms both familiar and utterly alien to human eyes. "I've patched into their communication system," Olivia announced suddenly. "It's encrypted, but I'm running it through our modified translation software." The team gathered around her station as fragmented translations began appearing on her screen. "Human development exceeding projections. Dangerous potential if left unchecked. Previous observation protocols inadequate." Captain Dias frowned. "They're talking about us. Can you get us a visual feed?" Daniel asked. Olivia nodded, fingers flying across her console. "Working on it. Their visual data uses different principles. But if I can synchronize our systems." The main screen flickered, then displayed a blurry image of what appeared to be a circular chamber. Around a central table sat beings of wildly different appearances. One had multiple limbs and a crystalline body. Another appeared almost vapor-like, contained within a floating apparatus. Others were more recognizably humanoid, but with features that marked them as definitely not human. "I count 7 different species," Dr. Winters said, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is incredible." As they watched, a tall, slender being with blue-tinted skin stood at the head of the table. The translation came through in broken fragments. "The human problem requires decisive action. Their technological advancement curve, unpredictable behaviors, potential threat or potential ally. The Council must decide." "Council," Jack repeated. "Did it say Council?" Daniel nodded slowly. "The Galactic Council. We're watching a meeting of a galactic government, and Earth is on their agenda." Dr. Winters looked pale. "They've been watching us." "For how long?" "Long enough to be concerned," Olivia replied, pointing to new text on her screen. "Look, they're going to vote on what to do about us." Captain Dias checked her weapons. "I don't like being discussed without a say in the matter." As the alien discussion intensified, the 5 humans watched in silence, knowing they were witnessing something that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The ISS Phantom's observation room was silent except for the soft beeping of equipment and the translated voices of the alien council. The crew watched in awe as the galactic meeting unfolded before them on screen. "We have monitored Earth for 753 cycles," said a tall being with 4 arms and iridescent skin. "The humans have advanced from primitive flight to basic space exploration in just 1 century." A squat creature with red scales and multiple eyes made a gurgling sound that the translator converted to words. "Their pattern is concerning. They develop weapons before they develop wisdom." Captain Maya Dias leaned closer to the screen. "They've been watching us for centuries." "Not just watching," Dr. Samuel Winters whispered. studying us like lab rats. On screen, a new speaker rose, a being that seemed to be made of shifting blue light. The council recognizes the Lumidari delegation. The light beam's voice was melodic even through the crude translation. We must acknowledge the creative potential of humans. Their adaptability is unprecedented. Yes, they create weapons, but they also create art, music, and show remarkable kindness to each other, and even to lesser species on their world. Another alien, with features resembling an insect, buzzed angrily. The Lumidari always see the best in primitive species. The Arcanians have studied humans more closely than any of you. We have found them to be volatile, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous to galactic stability. Olivia worked frantically at her console. I'm improving the translation. These beings, the Arcanians, they seem especially concerned about us. The question before the council, announced what appeared to be the chairperson, is what action to take regarding Earth. We have 3 options: continue observation only, initiate formal contact, or implement containment protocols. Containment protocols. Daniel repeated. That doesn't sound good. Dr. Winters shook his head. It sounds like quarantine. Or worse. The council began debating vigorously. Some species advocated for continued observation, arguing that humans weren't ready for contact. Others, primarily the Lumidari, suggested that controlled introduction to the galactic community might guide human development in positive directions. But it was the Arcanian proposal that chilled the watching humans. Containment is the only safe option, the insect-like being insisted. Their technological growth is exponential. Within 200 cycles, they could pose a significant threat. We propose selective technological disruption and memory alteration of key scientists. They want to sabotage our progress, Jack said, his knuckles white on the controls. Set us back. Captain Diaz's hand moved to her sidearm. Over my dead body. We need to record everything, Daniel urged. Earth needs to know about this. As they watched, the council prepared to vote. The chairperson called for position statements from each delegation. One by one, representatives stood to declare their stance. The reptilian delegation supported containment, citing humanity's violent history. The crystalline beings favored continued observation without interference. The Lumidari passionately defended humanity's potential, showing examples of human art, music, and scientific achievement. The Arcanians request final statement. The chairperson announced. The insect-like being rose again. We have more data than any other delegation. Our research vessels have visited Earth repeatedly. Our findings confirm that humans possess a neurological trait unlike any species we have encountered. They can imagine what does not exist and then create it. This makes them unpredictable and dangerous. Olivia gasped. They've been visiting Earth. Those UFO sightings people report. Some might have been real. Dr. Winters was frantically taking notes. A unique neurological trait. Our imagination. They fear our creativity. The council chairperson raised all 4 hands for silence. Before we vote, all delegations must review the Arcanian research data. We will reconvene after. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the council chamber. On screen, all the alien delegates turned toward a flashing display. The chairperson's voice became urgent. Security breach detected. Unknown vessel in proximity. Jack Harris looked up from his console, face pale. They found us. Chaos erupted aboard the ISS Phantom as red warning lights flashed throughout the small vessel. Commander Jack Harris' hands flew across the control panel. Stealth systems are failing, he announced, his voice steady despite the danger. Something in their security scan penetrated our cloaking technology. On the main screen, they could see the alien council members rushing to their seats as emergency protocols activated. The chairperson was issuing orders, and guard-like figures appeared at the chamber entrances. They've detected us, Daniel said, stating the obvious as he watched alien security forces mobilizing. What are our options? Captain Maya Diaz took command of the tactical station. We need to leave. Now. Before they can surround us. Outside the Phantom, the larger alien vessels began to shift position. Their engines glowed with strange energies as they maneuvered to create a blockade. Too late for a clean getaway, Jack said grimly. They're moving to cut off our escape route. Olivia was frantically downloading data from the council meeting. We need 2 more minutes to complete the data transfer. Everything we've learned about them, their technologies, their species, their politics, it's too valuable to lose. Dr. Winters pointed at the sensor readings. Look, those smaller vessels launching from the main ships, they're coming straight for us. The smaller craft, clearly designed for speed and pursuit, accelerated toward the Phantom's position. They moved with an agility that surpassed anything in Earth's fleet. 90 seconds to complete download, Olivia reported. Captain Diaz activated the defensive systems. I don't know if our countermeasures will work against their technology, but we're about to find out. Daniel monitored the communications channels. They're broadcasting some kind of message, probably demanding our surrender. Can't understand it without going through our translation software, Olivia said, and I'm not interrupting this download to find out they're telling us to give up. Commander Harris studied the tactical display, his eyes darting between the approaching vessels and the surrounding space. There, he said, pointing to a dense field of icy debris. If we can reach that debris field, we might be able to lose them or at least slow them down. That's a dangerous maneuver, Captain Diaz warned. One collision at these speeds could tear us apart. If we stay here, we're definitely captured, Jack replied. I'll take dangerous over certain. The Phantom shuddered as the first alien scanning beam struck its hull. Download complete, Olivia announced. Everyone strap in, Jack ordered as he fired up the Phantom's main engines. This is going to get rough. The Phantom shot forward, accelerating faster than any human vessel had ever moved before. The G-forces pushed the crew back into their seats despite the ship's inertial dampeners. The pursuing alien vessels adjusted course immediately, their engines flaring as they gave chase. They're fast, Jack muttered as he pushed the Phantom to its limits. But let's see how they handle tight spaces. The debris field loomed ahead, a chaotic spread of ice chunks and rocky asteroids, some as small as basketballs, others as large as buildings. Jack aimed the Phantom directly toward this dangerous maze. Are you crazy? Dr. Winters shouted. We can't navigate through that. They don't think we can either, Jack replied with grim determination. That's our advantage. At the last possible moment, Jack cut the main engines and switched to maneuvering thrusters. With precision that bordered on impossible, he guided the Phantom between massive chunks of ice, using minimal bursts of power to avoid detection. Behind them, the first alien pursuit craft attempted to follow their path, but misjudged the density of the field. It clipped a spinning ice boulder and spun out of control, colliding with a larger mass in a shower of debris. One down, Maya said, watching the tactical display. But their success was short-lived. A violent impact rocked the Phantom, sending warning alarms blaring throughout the ship. Direct hit to our port engine, Jack reported, fighting the controls. Some kind of energy weapon. The ship lurched sideways, trailing vapor from a damaged cooling system. Jack struggled to maintain their course through the debris field as more alien vessels closed in from multiple directions. We need to get clear of this field so I can attempt repairs, Daniel said, already unbuckling to head toward the engine section. If we leave the field, we're exposed, Maya countered. Jack made his decision. Holding position isn't an option. We're going to punch through and make a run for it. The Phantom emerged from the debris field with the alien pursuit ships close behind. For a brief moment, the path ahead looked clear. Then the sensors screamed with new warnings as a massive alien vessel appeared. The massive alien vessel loomed before the Phantom like a mountain of metal and strange, pulsing lights. Commander Jack Harris yanked the controls hard to port, barely avoiding a direct collision. The Phantom rolled and shuddered as it skimmed past the giant ship's outer hull. Damage report, Jack shouted as he fought to stabilize their flight path. Daniel checked the system's readout. Port engine efficiency down to 40%. Hull integrity compromised in 2 sections. Life support stable for now. Can we still outrun them? Olivia asked, clutching her seat as the ship continued to shake. Maya studied the tactical display with a grim expression. Not a chance. That big ship was just the first line of a blockade. There are at least 4 more vessels moving to cut off our escape routes. Dr. Winters looked up from his science station, his face pale. I've been analyzing the Arcanian data during our flight. They'd been visiting Earth for over a century. There are records of human abductions, experiments. He shook his head in disgust. They've been studying us like lab specimens. We need to get this information back to Earth, Daniel said firmly. Even if we don't make it, this data has to. Jack set a new course, pushing the damaged engines as hard as he dared. We'll head for the outer solar system. If we can reach the Kuiper belt, we might find enough cover to make repairs. Behind them, 6 pursuit vessels closed the gap with alarming speed. The Phantom shook as another energy beam grazed their starboard side. Diverting power to rear shields, Maya announced, her fingers dancing across the tactical controls. I'm also deploying countermeasures. A series of small devices ejected from the Phantom's rear ports, each exploding into clouds of sensor-jamming particles and radiation. 2 of the pursuing ships slowed momentarily, their sensors confused by the chaff. That won't hold them for long, Maya warned. Olivia worked frantically at her station. I'm compressing all our data. The council meeting, the alien species profiles, the Arcanian research, everything we've learned. We can load it into a stealth beacon. Good thinking, Daniel nodded. The beacon is small enough that it might slip past their sensors if we create enough of a distraction. Another hit rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as systems began to fail. The port engine sputtered and went offline completely. We're not going to outrun them, Jack said, stating the obvious. We need a new plan. Maya stood up, her military training evident in her decisive movements. I'll prepare defensive positions near the airlock. When they board. When, not if. Dr. Winters interrupted. Look at the tactical display, Doctor, Maya replied calmly. They have us surrounded. It's only a matter of time. Jack nodded grimly. Maya's right. Our priority now is getting that data back to Earth. Olivia, how long until the beacon is ready? 3 minutes to complete the compression and encryption, she answered without looking up from her work. Daniel, help me plot a trajectory for the beacon that will take it back to Earth orbit, Jack ordered. We need to make sure it reaches our tracking stations. As they worked, the pursuing ships closed in. The largest vessel, now clearly identifiable as an Arcanian ship based on Dr. Winters' analysis, took position directly behind them. They're preparing to fire some kind of tractor beam, Maya reported. Sensors indicate it's powerful enough to stop us completely. Daniel looked up from his calculations. Jack, I have an idea. That gas cloud ahead. It's full of volatile compounds. If we detonate our remaining countermeasures inside it, Jack immediately understood. It could create enough of a distraction for us to launch the beacon undetected. Good thinking. He adjusted their course, heading straight for the nebulous cloud of gas and dust. The Phantom's remaining engine strained under the effort. Beacon ready, Olivia announced. Everyone hold on, Jack called out as they entered the gas cloud. This is going to be close. The Phantom plunged into the swirling gases, temporarily disappearing from the alien sensors. Jack counted down silently, waiting for the perfect moment. Now, he shouted. Maya fired all remaining countermeasures while Daniel simultaneously launched the data beacon from a small port on the underside of the ship. The countermeasures ignited the gases around them, creating a massive explosion that engulfed the Phantom and temporarily blinded the pursuing vessel's sensors. In the chaos and confusion, the small beacon slipped away unnoticed, beginning its long journey back to Earth with its precious cargo of information. Moments later, as the explosion dissipated, the Phantom drifted powerless. The Arcanian vessel engaged its tractor beam, capturing the disabled human ship. Beacon away, Daniel confirmed quietly. Course stable. It should reach Earth in 17 days. Then we've done our job, Jack said, looking at each crew member in turn. Whatever happens next, Earth will know about the Galactic Council. The ship shuddered as the alien tractor beam pulled them toward the massive Arcanian vessel's docking bay. The 5 humans stood in a row, surrounded by Arcanian guards. The detention area inside the massive alien vessel was bright white, with no visible doors or windows. Their captors towered over them. 7-foot-tall insectoid beings with compound eyes and 4 arms. What do you think they'll do with us? Dr. Winters whispered to Daniel. Quiet, hissed one of the guards, its words translated through a device on its exoskeleton. Captain Maya Diaz stood straight, her military bearing intact despite their dire situation. We demand to speak to your leadership. We are representatives of Earth. The lead guard made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. You are not representatives. You are spies. The Council will decide your fate. Commander Jack Harris studied their surroundings, looking for any potential weakness or escape route, but found none. The technology around them was clearly centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Hours passed in tense silence before a section of wall simply vanished, revealing a corridor. The guards motioned for the humans to move. Stay together, Daniel murmured as they were led through winding passages filled with alien technology. Finally, they entered a vast chamber. In the center stood a circular platform surrounded by tiered seating, filled with representatives of the 7 species they had observed at the council meeting. Above the platform, holographic displays showed images of Earth, human history, and what appeared to be biological scans of human bodies. That's my brain scan, Dr. Winters whispered in shock, pointing to one display. From my medical exam last year. They've been in our systems, our medical facilities. The council chairperson, the 4-armed being they had seen earlier, stepped forward. Humans of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council unauthorized. Your presence at our meeting violates multiple protocols. Olivia stepped forward despite a guard trying to hold her back. Your meeting was about us. Don't we deserve to know when our fate is being decided? Murmurs rippled through the assembled aliens. The chairperson raised 2 hands for silence. Your argument has merit, human, but it does not change the fact that your civilization is not yet ready for council membership. Daniel moved beside Olivia. Ready or not, we now know you exist. And soon, all of Earth will know. The insect-like Arcanian representative chittered angrily. The data beacon you launched has been tracked and will be intercepted before it reaches Earth. Your attempt to alert your planet has failed. Jack and Maya exchanged glances. The beacon had been their last hope. The chairperson continued. The question before the council now is what to do with you 5 humans, and how to proceed regarding Earth. A beautiful being made of shifting blue light, a lumidary, according to their earlier observations, moved to the center of the chamber. I request permission to address the humans directly. After receiving a nod from the chairperson, the light being approached them. Up close, its form was even more mesmerizing, constantly shifting while maintaining a vaguely humanoid shape. I am Ambassador Ilara of the Lumidari, it said in a melodic voice. We have been observing your species with great interest. Unlike some council members, we believe humans have extraordinary potential. The Arcanian representative interrupted. Potential for destruction. Their neural patterns show a capacity for deception and violence that exceeds all known species. And for creation, for art, for compassion, Ilara countered. The same neural flexibility that makes them unpredictable also makes them uniquely innovative. They solve problems in ways we would never consider. Dr. Winters suddenly understood. It's our imagination, isn't it? That's what makes us different. We can envision things that don't exist and then create them. Ilara's light pulsed brighter. Precisely. While most species evolve through physical adaptation, humans evolve through ideas. You imagine possibilities and then make them real. The council chamber grew loud with debate. Some delegates clearly viewed this human trait as dangerous, while others seemed fascinated. During the commotion, Ilara moved closer to the humans and whispered, "Your beacon will reach Earth. We have ensured it. The Arcanians do not know that we have been helping humanity for some time." "You've been helping us?" Daniel asked in surprise. "Subtly. Certain scientific breakthroughs, artistic inspirations. We believe your species has much to offer the galaxy if given the chance to mature." Before they could ask more questions, an alarm sounded throughout the chamber. The holographic displays flickered and changed to show a massive fleet of ships approaching the council location. "Unknown vessels detected," announced a voice over the communication system. The chairperson turned to the humans in shock. "What have you done? Did you contact your military?" "Impossible," Maya replied, equally confused. "Earth doesn't have technology that could reach this far, this quickly." As they watched the displays, the mystery deepened. The approaching ships weren't human in design. They were unlike any vessel in the council fleet. Ilara's light form dimmed slightly in what seemed like concern. "The Watchers. They have returned." The council chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates rushed to communication stations while security personnel moved into defensive positions. The 5 humans stood forgotten in the confusion, watching as panic spread through the alien representatives. "Who are the Watchers?" Daniel asked Ilara, the Luminary ambassador, whose light form now pulsed with rapid, anxious patterns. "The oldest known species in the galaxy," Ilara replied, her melodic voice somber. "They established the original council millennia ago, then withdrew to observe rather than participate. They rarely intervene unless—" She trailed off, light dimming. "Unless what?" Olivia pressed. "Unless they believe a critical moment in galactic evolution is occurring." On the main display, the approaching fleet of Watcher vessels surrounded the council meeting area. Their ships were unlike any design the humans had seen, seemingly made of interwoven strands of energy and solid matter that shifted and pulsed in complex patterns. The council chairperson called for order. "The Watchers request communication. Prepare the main channel." The central holographic display flickered, then revealed a being that defied easy description. It appeared humanoid but was composed of swirling energy patterns that hinted at countless forms within one entity. "Greetings, Council," the being said, its voice somehow simultaneously ancient and youthful. "We have observed your deliberations regarding the human species." The chairperson bowed respectfully. "Honored Watcher, we did not expect your presence. The matter of humanity is still under consideration. Yet you hold human representatives captive," the Watcher observed, its gaze seeming to see through everything. "An unusual way to welcome potential allies." The Arcanian representative stepped forward. "These humans were spying on our private council meeting. They are not officially representing Earth." "Nevertheless," the Watcher replied calmly, "they have demonstrated the very qualities that make their species remarkable: curiosity, courage, and resourcefulness." Captain Maya whispered to her companions, "Are they defending us?" Commander Jack shrugged slightly, equally confused by this unexpected development. The Watcher continued, "We have monitored humanity's development with particular interest. Their neural patterns suggest an evolutionary path we have not witnessed before. Their unpredictability makes them dangerous," the Arcanian insisted. "Their unpredictability makes them valuable," countered the Watcher. "The Council has grown stagnant, following the same patterns of thought for thousands of years. New perspectives are essential for continued evolution." The chamber fell silent as the implications of the Watcher's words sank in. The Luminary ambassador Ilara moved closer to the humans, her light form brightening with what seemed like hope. "The Watchers believe as we do," she whispered, "that humanity has something unique to offer." The Watcher focused its attention directly on the 5 humans. "You sought knowledge that was being withheld from you. You risk yourselves to protect your species. These actions reflect the best qualities of humanity. Dr. Winters stepped forward. We only wanted to understand our place in the galaxy. And now you shall, the Watcher replied. The data beacon you launched will reach Earth. It is under our protection. The Arcanian representative chittered angrily. You cannot make this decision unilaterally. The Council must vote. Then vote, the Watcher said simply. But know that the time for secrecy regarding Earth has passed. The humans were never supposed to know of our existence, yet now they do. Evolution rarely follows predicted paths. The Council chairperson recognized the reality of their situation. We will vote immediately on the status of Earth within the galactic community. One by one, the representatives cast their votes. The Arcanians and 2 other species voted for continued isolation of Earth. The Lumidary and another species voted for immediate contact and integration. The deciding vote came from a crystalline being who had remained silent throughout the proceedings. We vote for provisional contact. The humans deserve the chance to prove themselves. With that, the vote was decided. Earth would be officially contacted and offered provisional status in the galactic community. The Watcher seemed satisfied. A wise decision. The 5 humans before you will return to Earth as your official ambassadors, accompanied by representatives from each council species who wishes to establish relations. Daniel could hardly believe what he was hearing. We're going home. With alien ambassadors. Indeed, the Watcher confirmed. Your world stands at a critical threshold. The knowledge you bring back will forever change human civilization. Ilara's light form pulsed with excitement. I will personally represent the Lumidary in the first contact delegation. Even the Arcanian representative, though clearly displeased, accepted the Council's decision. We will send an observer as well. The humans must be monitored closely during this transition. Commander Jack grinned at his crew. Well, this isn't exactly how I expected our mission to end. It's not ending, Olivia replied, her eyes bright with wonder. It's just beginning. As preparations began for their return journey, the 5 humans stood together, watching the diverse alien species that would soon be introduced to Earth. They had set out to uncover a secret, never imagining they would return as humanity's first ambassadors to the stars. The Watcher approached them one final time. Humans were never supposed to know about the Galactic Council, it said with what might have been amusement in its voice. But perhaps the Council was never supposed to remain hidden. The universe unfolds as it must, not as we plan. Daniel looked toward the starfield visible through the chamber's viewing portal, thinking of Earth and the momentous changes awaiting his planet. We're ready, he said simply. And with those words, a new chapter in human history began.